Hello and welcome to another episode of The Green Room with me, David Green. Joining me today is Anita Stewart. Hello. How's it going? Happy to have you all here. If you're in the comments, please do, like Anita, say hello and chime in for the night. Joining me is two heavyweights of the Go Indie Now network. We have Nikki Hicks.
Hello.
JD Estrada, ready to duke it out. And also, don't forget to send a star to let our host know, and hosts and producers know how much you appreciate what they do here at Go Indie Now. Every time you contribute, you get entered into our season prize package draw with gift cards, swag, and more. The more, I believe, is me coming round to your house, no matter where you live in the world. TBC. Not sure if that's true or not, but I just got a note through from Joe saying there it is. Hello, Nikki. How's it going? Another Nikki. Another Nikki. So, looking forward to this one. See who is going to win the dubious honour of coming back next week to me to talk with me for an hour. The runner-up gets to talk to Nikki DeKeuster, who is in the comments, for half an hour. But also, the winner also gets some advertising on the Go Indie Now network, which you will see one of the adverts later on in the show, and they're fantastic. They're well worth it. But I'm intrigued as to what you two are going to talk about, because obviously I never know what our contestants are going to talk about. It's up to you to convince me to choose your topic to put in the green room forever. So you have to see what my mood is like at any given moment. But first, before we start, Nikki, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Nikki Hicks. I write a plethora of things, from horror to speculative fiction to steampunk to whatever you give me a contract, I'll give you a fucking story. The biggest thing I'm really happy about is tomorrow this story drops. This is an anthology of horror comedy, and I'm very excited because my story is the very first one in this. It pretty much starts off the anthology. It's called Razor Blades and Fun Size Candies, so I'm pretty excited about that, and that drops tomorrow on Amazon.
Is that a real book? It was so small. It's tiny. Hold it up again.
Well, no. This is just a postcard that I made to give out at a con. As marketing, shilling, constant. Yeah.
I was going to say that is fun-sized.
It is fun-sized. Yes, razor blades and fun-sized.
Excellent. JD, how about yourself?
I do not enjoy razor blades, but I do enjoy writing. My name is JD Estrada. I am a Puerto Rican indie author who decided to move to Atlanta a couple of years ago so that I can see the real life premiere of The Walking Dead.
Ooh.
So 21 books out. That includes poetry, nonfiction, urban fantasy, middle grade fantasy, and horror. And in this wonderful year, I decided that in 1 month I was going to release 2 books. This is in English. These are sweet, whimsical short stories that take place in the world of dream. Try to imagine Willy Wonka combined with Peter Pan, The Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore, second installment. Aww. And this is a Spanish horror short story collection. So basically, this is kindness. This is sweet. This is the kindest book I've ever written, and this is fucked up.
Yes.
And I'm also the original Double O Bananas.
Jesus Christ.
There you have it.
Okay.
There you have it. I've watched The Walking Dead, and it seems just unreasonably hot and sweaty in Atlanta.
I come from Puerto Rico, so.
No, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
It seems it. That's my override and kind of takeaway from The Walking Dead from what I watched. So it's like everyone is sweaty constantly.
The South is extremely humid and sweaty. I live in Tennessee, so. But yes, it's very sweaty and terrible, and tons of mosquitoes that'll just take you away.
Oh.
No, to get sweatier and hotter than Puerto Rico, you would have to go to Florida. Florida is crazy.
Florida's terrible.
And I have to accept that. And I haven't visited in either Mississippi or Louisiana, but I've heard.
Well, in Florida, for like 2 to 3 in the afternoon, the bowels of hell open up every day, and it's just, and then you'll get a rainstorm, and then it's okay again.
I've been to Florida. I have my hands full every night, Maddy, as you well know. I have been to Florida, but it was in January, so I think it was probably the most.
Oh yeah, no, it's like going to let's go to Bourbon Street in New Orleans in say December. You don't get the full flavor because that Oh, the vomit is there.
The vomit.
Straight.
Excellent stuff.
It was awful.
All right. Well, enough geography. Florida is wondrous, says Nikki, in an American spelling as well, which I do not approve of. Spell it in British English, please, if you're going to spell anything in the comments. For those people in the comments, thank you for joining in. Let us know as our contestants are talking about their topics, what you think of them as well. And then at the end of each round, let me know who you think has won. The contestants won't know because I will decide at the end of the show who is the overall winner. So, who is going to go first?
Me? Cool.
Nikki, excellent. Okay, well, take it away with the first topic.
All right. So basically, I want to talk to you guys about the fucker that lives in your head. It's that guy that lives in your head that makes you want to stop. That makes you, that criticizes everything you do, that's like your self-editor. That guy. Okay, imagine this is your brain. This right here is your prefrontal cortex right there. Now, according to neuroscience, because I'm going to teach you how to shut up this fucker using science. According to neuroscience, to make that fucker shut up, you need to turn this off. Because when you turn this off, you are able to access a level of creativity that is actually, they call it the flow. It makes time stop. Everything stops. You don't care. You're able to get outside of your inhibitions if you can turn off this guy. Now, there's two ways to do it. First way, something physical. Just do something to distract this motherfucker over here. Exercise, go for a walk, do whatever. However, I prefer to take the chemical approach. Again, neuroscience, scientists say that if you have a 0.07% blood alcohol content in your bloodstream, you will turn this motherfucker off and you'll be able to create. However, only 0.07. So it's 2 to 3 drinks. Other than that, it just goes all higgledy-piggledy. But if you can have just that much, you can actually access a part of your creativity that allows you to put down your inhibitions, that shuts off the self-editor, and it's glorious. So quite frankly, science tells you just to take a drink, to drink it up, because, science.
Okay, well, I feel like I've just been to like a really surprising self-help kind of TED talk where instead of people are trying to give up drink, we have someone that's saying, look, just drink.
Drink. That's how you know God loves you. Just drink.
Oh,
We're all falling apart. The world's on fire. Fucking drink. So,
I do like drinking.
Don't drink too much, though, man. Don't do stupid.
Enough.
Just enough to turn this guy off.
Okay,
but it's true. It's true. It actually, if you can look it up, I was Googling it and finding all the stuff. It is an actual.
No, I believe it. I believe you. I believe the science, and I believe that you've probably put it into practice as well to test this out.
All the time.
Excellent.
I'm old.
So when you say so it's 0.7%, so it's like 2 to 3 drinks. But 2 to 3 drinks of what? Because obviously units are different.
That's the question. I prefer whiskey. It depends what I'm writing. I prefer whiskey because wine just puts me to sleep or makes me horny, one of the two. I prefer just whiskey because that just gets me angry. And that just makes me just get going. But they didn't get that specific. They just said 0.07%. Now that's like just a nudge under the legal inebriation. I mean, you shouldn't go driving.
No.
And if you do any more than that, no. It's this very fine line. But it was fascinating.
Well, if you go driving as well, you're not going to do any writing.
No, you're not.
No, that's going to drain the creativity. So, what also because obviously you just talked about what certain alcohol does to your state of mind and being. I suppose, like, depending on the scene or something that you're working on, you could try different alcoholic drinks to get you in the correct mood.
Yeah, I mean, you want something a little romantic, a little schmoozy, you get a little red wine, you put some music on, and you just kind of make love to your keyboard. I mean, whatever turns you on, whatever gets you going.
You're gonna see Nikki with like red teeth and melted wax on her hand while she writes like, yeah, write the shit out of this scene.
I'm gonna write the shit out of this.
It's definitely surprising. This is definitely just showing a different side to you than what I expected. JD, what do you? I mean, do you drink when you write?
I sometimes drink, but not usually. I actually, it depends on the book and where I'm at. I've written at different times in my life. Let me explain. I used to be a morning writer, then I used to be a night owl, then I used to have to write during lunch hours, then I'm just an opportunistic writer. I once worked in a company where I was the only guy in a department of 15 people, so I would take my notebook to the bathroom and write for like 20 minutes because I could get some peace and quiet.
They thought you were pooping.
Yeah, it's like,
JD's just pooping.
It's like, dude, no, no one was forcing me to get it done, and I did that a couple of times, and it was very liberating. So if you're on the job, you're not gonna have a drink. I've had some drinks while I write, but it's not a usual thing. It's not part of my little ceremony. What I always do is very rarely will I write without music. So instead of alcohol, music is my drug.
Music is the drug.
But for me, sometimes when I'm starting a story, the music has to be pretty much either atmospheric or classical because I can't handle more words.
Yeah.
It's like words hitting me. And I'm trying to do the words and I can't have words.
And I sometimes need those words. There's certain scenes that I can tell you which song from Tool I was listening to, or which song.
Oh my God, you and Todd Kiesling, he does Tool all the time too. Everything he writes is Tool. But yeah, me too. I do that. But when after I'm like in the middle of it and you're pretty much in the flow and you're doing it, man, I can have like jackhammers behind me because I'm here now.
When you've got that 0.07% of alcohol.
Yes. I'm just, I could care less about the world. Well, who's on fire? Don't care. I'm just, mommy's gone dark, sweetie. I'm down here doing this now. So.
Well, before we go to the comments, I just wanted to ask you as well. So, because you mentioned like, the kind of like the block that comes on sometimes when you're writing.
Yes,
so,
very much.
is this something that you find, obviously, JD's touching it as well, like is a ceremony of getting into writing. Is that something that you need as well? You need to be in a perfect kind of get rid of distractions and self-doubt and the self-editor that's like, no, you could do better with this, you could do it, but you're just trying to get that draft down. Is that something that you need to kind of sink into?
For me, it's okay. Stephen King talked about the fear. How every morning he'd go on a walk and stuff because he's like, why am I so afraid? Why am I so? He's Stephen fucking King and he's still afraid. And I will have that. The fear, because I know the scene I need to do. I know what I need to write, but I'm so afraid I'm going to screw it up. And sometimes I just say, fuck it, and sit down, write the bloody thing, because you're not going to be able to do anything until you write this stupid thing. Because once you've written it, man, again, the flow, you know that really great just feeling you feel when you finish a really good scene? It's like the endorphins and the serotonin, everything is just crushing through your brain because you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. It's awesome. It's beautiful. And that's what they talk about too. The neuroscientist called it the flow. But that's turning off this guy who society has programmed you. Shouldn't you be like, the floor's kind of dirty. Shouldn't you vacuum it? Have you washed dishes? Have you eaten anything? All these things inside your head. You got to turn that guy off so that you can actually create. Kids don't have that problem. I wonder if it's just an adult thing. But
yeah, maybe because it's conditioned over years, probably. Just
you're conditioned. You're conditioned to be a responsible adult. I must do my adulting. And sometimes I will say, guys, I've done the adulting, and I'm going to go play. I call it playing. I don't call it writing, and I don't call it working. I call it playing because it helps me get in that.
Yeah. And creativity is underappreciated as well. Generally.
So very much. They don't. Again, we live in especially in America, we are still deeply puritanical. And if you're not working, the devil has you. That's what they just believe. You're not working if you're not doing the hustle.
And the devil's quite nice.
I happen to like Satan. Satan's never killed nobody. God has killed people left and right. God has destroyed the world how many times over? Satan never did a damn thing. Satan released us from the bondage of the garden. So hell Satan.
There we go. There we go. Well, let's go to the comments to see what everyone is thinking. Let us know when we're doing that. Yes, how you feel, what you feel. Like. But yeah, we need proper English, please, people. Exercise.
No, I like Pilates.
So drink wine to turn the drocker off. Yep, nice use of drocker as well. Thank you.
Monkey mind drunk. Yes, the monkey mind. And okay. Just to bin the teetotaler.
There's a lot of support for alcohol so far.
How about some chamomile?
Hang on, whoa. Who said you can't drive and write?
Speech to text.
Oh no.
Oh, I can't.
I can't. It always understands something that I'm not saying.
So is Wisconsin like a different kind of level of
drunk? Yes.
Yeah, it must be something with the air down there, the cold, brisk air.
Again, that's why I do Pilates. Pilates has kept me sane.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, you got to move your body. You've got to move your body.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, bunch of things keep hitting things that deserve it, I guess. I'm not surprised that F. Stewart likes to punch things.
She's not done boxing, it's just punching.
Music loves the monkey mind.
It does. All right, can you really get excited?
Yeah. I can easily imagine Anita taking a block of ice and just hitting it with a pick.
Oh, just constant, yeah.
Wisconsin is the island of the US. I think
it is.
I think the lakes that are near Wisconsin are bigger than the entirety of my country. I would be fairly certain, without looking at a map, to say that. I think it's true. Okay, so as JD takes a stand, please let us know what you thought of Nikki's way to defeat the block and get into focus is by drinking. And here, go and take it away, JD.
Am I going to offer my counterpoint or my topic?
Your topic. Is go right into your topic.
Okay, my first topic is, you guys have talked about people who offer their services and who kind of suck at it. I've seen a couple of the green rooms. But what you specifically haven't mentioned is the egomaniacal asshole who does cold call emails, making you feel like utter shit and saying, you need my help. Plus, sounding or reading off the page as if it's Borat talking to you. It's like, friend, you have good content. You have good content, but you SEO no work. I know how fix. I can fix it, but you need me. I am guy. I am the guy. And it's like they go on this tangent, and that's not enough. It's like they go like, I saw you and you're doing a bunch of stuff wrong and you suck, but you're good. But I like you, but you suck. And it's like this sweet and sour of compliments and attacks at the same time. Plus, this latest tendency of converging on email, Instagram, and Facebook at the same time. It's like, dude, stalker much? Fuck off. So it's like, first off, love your grammar. It sucks. It's, from the get-go, I am not going to pay attention to you. And in the get-go, it's a cold call email. The response rate is going to be shit. If you're an asshole and it works for you, kudos. It's not going to work with me. But there's some people that do react to this and they go like, oh yeah, I am doing everything wrong and I need help from Trevor or Nancy or Kumal, or I can, and these are people who have actually written me, because I have the names here. And I wrote them down. I wrote down 3, because if I look for everything that I've received, oh Lord, it's like, send me a dick pic. Seriously, that'll be better than your offer, and that'll be at least more interesting and a conversation starter with someone's like, wow, someone actually sent me a dick pic with the offer of their services. That's more interesting than Borat offering me shady services and going in depth to analyze what I'm doing wrong in my page. It's like, I know that my page doesn't get views. I see the views. I don't care. I'm doing all of this for fun. I have a day job, fortunately. If by any chance and any happenstance I get to make it big, trust me, I will still not need you.
You know what I would find quite interesting is that instead of getting one of these emails, if they got a dick pic with a review of the book on the dick, that'd be quite creative. I'd be like, I'd consider taking up the services on this one.
5 stars tattooed
That.
on someone's dick. That'd be great. I'm sorry, I have to. They've gone the extra mile.
You get more stars the more you arouse the reviewer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but normally it's going to be a 1.5 for people like this. Maybe.
Right.
Little pud.
So, funnily enough, I got an email, not with a dick pic, but not yet anyway. I got an email today saying ready for a review, and then space, block capital letters, David. So obviously they've just just copy and paste his name in there. Greetings, David. Again in big letters. You are receiving this mail because we saw your book, and then in completely different text and font, Dead Man Walking, which is like a novelette. It's not even a book that I have. It's a novelette that came out 3 years ago. We see it is very popular, but we can help you take it further. And it's a place called The Book Review, and they promise a verified Amazon purchase.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A verified Amazon review, which is also nice.
Yep.
An editorial review on their website.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Which will be a minimum of 250 to 500 words. How could it be a minimum of that? Like a minimum is like a minimum. It's not like maybe one of these numbers.
Well, today I got an offer for 3 reviews of my book and 1 written author interview for $145. That's a steal.
A bargain. That's a bargain, isn't it?
That's a steal.
So they also provide feedback about the development of the plot, the main character, and the reader's overall impression of the book. And also, if you get a 4 or 5 star review, you will get a badge to put on your book cover. It sounds like a bargain to me. I don't know why I've got a problem with this. It doesn't say a price. But it also is not a full proofread service, which is, I didn't think it would be. But that was just one of the ones that I got today. I also have, if I look at my notifications on my phone, I have some things in Instagram saying someone wants to send me a message. I think 2 of those that I've had today, and about 3 on Twitter.
My problem is LinkedIn. I get constant things from LinkedIn, the same kind of stuff.
But LinkedIn is behaving for me, knock on wood. I don't get much engagement on LinkedIn, but the people that do engage, they actually do care. And it's been, well, that and plus,
I don't trust
you're a valued, loyal member of LinkedIn.
Yes.
So here's a learning.
Get away from me. No, yeah, because I had someone who wanted to do an interview with me. Fine, I did the interview. It was one of those, they send you the questions, you do the thing, you send it to them, blah, blah, blah. But now they have been hounding me for the past 6 months we will send you a plaque of your interview for $300. It's
Nice.
a plaque. And I'm like, I don't want this.
Was it a very short interview, was it?
Oh, it wasn't very short. Very
or
short.
A very big plaque.
And I'm like, $300 for you to basically print something off and slap. No, thank you very much. This is where you're getting.
Proud of this. I was very proud of this interview.
I'm very proud of this interview. No.
So, Nikki,
Nana wants a copy of your interview.
Nana wants a copy of your plaque. My Nana's dead. So yeah.
So Nikki, on this point from JD, is there any? Can you ever think of it in your mind of any time you would get an email like this and you think, you know what?
Oh yes, way back during the pandemic. That's when I got several of these, and I had a little extra money because the government gave me money. So I figured, okay, what the hell, I'll try it, and it was a huge pain in the ass. They basically were just bots. They would do like 5 or 6 tweets a day saying, this book, The Galvanized Girl, it's wonderful. And they would talk about it. It has nothing to do with the book at all. They obviously have not read it. It's just a bot. Mm-hmm. And they would do like 5 things a day. And it was for like a month or 2 months. It was embarrassing. I had a couple extra bucks. I thought, what the hell, I'll try. I threw it at them. Yeah. $30, no problem. But they're constantly emailing me wanting to, hey, Nikki Nelson Hicks, we really like your book, blah, blank. We'd like to promote it, blank. And I'm like, get away from me. So it's okay. Thank you very much.
I love when you get. I love your book, and I really want to review it. Which book?
Yeah, which one?
Yeah.
I
And
love
they
that
love
one.
it. And they love it already, but they need some more impetus to review it. It's like, look,
Yeah.
we love it, but we need a little bit more from you, okay? Before we can put this in an official public domain that we love this book. The thing is, though,
to physically quote my grandfather.
Yeah.
The thing is with these things, JD, as well, is that, like, you know, as Nikki was saying before, when you look at, like, when you get these ones that are like, oh, we'll retweet your thing on our Twitter like 5 times a day or whatever, and you look at them and like, you know, they've got like 30,000 followers, but they're following 30-odd thousand as well.
Right.
It's all just this like retweet echo chamber.
It's an echo room. It's an echo chamber, incestuous relationship. It's just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I do get a lot of them. I mean, I try to talk to them sometimes just to amuse myself. If I've got a bit of time, I'll like, you know.
No, I ain't got that kind of time.
Yeah,
My husband does that. Whenever someone calls him, he'll talk to them and just to fuck with them. I just don't have it. I must swipe to the left. I don't know you. You're off to the left.
I'm just clearly very lonely. Okay, so let's go to the comments, and everyone let us know who you think has won this round when you've heard after you've heard the first 2 topics, or the first topic and the first 2 opinions in the first topic, should I say. Is late. Lake Superior probably is bigger than Ireland. Yes, it is. I hate the use of marketing. We're authors. Most of us are crap at marketing.
I suck at it.
Yeah. Because about writing inspiration. I think this is about the dick pics, I think.
We're back on dick pics. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. When I used to have a WordPress site, I used to get all the time just comments of like, there we have the dick pics. We're in the domain of dick pics.
I got comments from come to our casino in Dubai, and I'm like, what? I'm like, really? You want to post that here?
Yeah.
This is that's some comment, Nikki. That's very good. Yeah, that's yeah. They very rarely do, and extra points to the ones that do copy and paste in one of your books. I'm slacking on my interviews then. Yeah.
I bet.
Excellent. and Goendy now sends out hundreds. Votes on that job. Maddie is on JD. And he is on.
You can exercise. There was the option 1 to exercise, option 2 drink.
Nikki goes with Nikki. Maybe the same person.
Useful things. Oh,
never seen you both in the same room.
It's team.
Never seen both of you at the same time. So, you know, well, who's to say you're not the same person? Anyway, let's go into round 2.
Gotcha.
And because you went second last time, you get to go first this time. Jenny, take it away.
Readers often mean well, and sometimes you have some interesting conversation. But there are some people that really, they just don't know what's coming out of their mouth. And what you should have done in your book? And I'm like, oh, do tell me, what should I have done in my book? Please, pry into my soul, pry into my heart, and tell me exactly what you think is the resolution that would have satisfied my need, because obviously I write to market, and obviously I write to you because you're so special and you're so particular and so magnificent. And yeah, whenever you want to shut up, by all means do that. There are so many people that have so many ideas. When you have a constructive conversation and people say, man, I would have liked this, or I think this would have been interesting. That's very different from what you should have done. And I've gotten about 4 people that have delved into that territory, and I try to be nice, I try to be kind, and I try to talk to everyone, but I do have an edge, and I go like, oh, tell me, what should I have done with my book? And, oh, no, don't take it that way. And I'm like, no, then tell me, how should I take it? Right. And I don't know why people feel the need. And then, and it's not like I've been surprised by any of these 4 people's, their suggestions. the conversations I've had with people, it's like, oh, I read your daydreams and I think this would be cool for a daydream. I go like, man, thank you so much. And I actually jot those down and I explore that and I explore those ideas. For Given to Fly, the adventures, I do that as well for the human cycle. Sometimes people have some comments and I go like, wow, that's a really cool insight. But the 4 people that told me what I should have done, I'm like, wow, I can tell you exactly which book you read and where you got that original idea for me to do the correct ending, which is such a wonderful way of phrasing things. It's like, write your own damn book.
Yeah. I think this is like a thing that kind of transcends books and moves into like all kinds of forms of like, entertainment these days, especially like, when it's like a book or a movie or a TV show, is that and people get really upset when things don't match their headcanon. And it's like, well, they didn't do this thing that I really wanted them to do. And it's like, well, it's not your story. Right. Stories don't always go the way that you want them to go because you're not telling the stories. You are reading or watching or listening to a story, which is what you are there for. Right? If you want to go and create something yourself, go and create it yourself and see how easy it is.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, that's the thing too. How easy it is. Have you been told that? How, yeah, I could write a story. It's easy. It's not easy. And that pisses me off more than anything in the world. Really? You ever done it? Do it. Then talk to me.
It's pretty hard.
It's very hard.
I was at a convention last year and I was stood at the bar talking to a very, very well-known British author who had just won the Hugo Award for one of his books. And someone else came up to the bar on the other side of him, who was a reader, and proceeded to tell this gentleman everything that was wrong with his Hugo Award-winning book and what he could have done better with it.
Now, what did he do? Did he just smile and just walk away?
He was very polite.
Very British. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, and he took it away with very good grace.
He's a good person.
What's the thing?
He didn't want someone to have a phone recording him going off.
Oh my God, you'll be on YouTube. Yeah. You don't need that kind of stress in your life. You'll be on TikTok. Yeah.
So I mean, when you've obviously had people say this to you, JD, why do you think people think that it's okay to me? I mean, criticism is fine and feedback is fine, but literally telling someone, this is what you should have done, as if their opinion is any better. Like, why do you think it comes from?
There's some people that know all the right answers, and it doesn't just apply to writing. It applies to, man, you should rent, or you should buy, or you should invest, or you should do X or Y thing. They want to have an opinion and they want to be an authority. When it comes to stories, I do think that people they want to do it. They want to write. And eventually I try to steer the conversation towards, man, you should give it a go and write something. And they're either afraid or don't know how to start, and some people just want to have an opinion and they're not happy unless they're causing trouble and having an opinion that will ruffle someone's feathers or just land poorly. It's like, that's their drug. Instead of music, instead of whiskey, being an asshole and being a dick, that's what they go like, yes, I
made you feel like shit. I made you feel like shit for 30 seconds. I feel good now. Yeah.
I ruined someone's day. Some people are that way. I do not know why.
I don't get it.
I get no jollies off it, but
me either. But hey, man.
When you're at a convention, you have to take it on the chin and you have to smile and you have to steer it away. Fortunately, I've never had anything too upsetting happen to me at a booth.
Yeah. Well, one silver line is because of this thing, you just rubbed John Travolta and Samuel Jackson's face at the same time in a very loving way.
Oof, yes, that's true. Yes.
So, Nikki, I mean, with this thing though as well, like, and obviously there is people that like to as Jay-Z said, like, put their opinion on things, everything. But does it not show that it's like a sign that people are really invested in what you've done, and like, it's sparked their imagination?
Maybe you can take it from that viewpoint that they've learned something and they want to maybe grow on it on their own way. Because I have had those people, and I just go, yeah, I do like he does. Great, write the story. But for me, like he says, being at a con or any place like that, I've had people come up to me and not believe that I'm the writer. They think it's my husband because I'm a girl. First of all, I'm not a girl, and I'm female. So how could you possibly have written all of this? It must be him, which really pisses me off. That's really very. It's like, and my husband will go, no, it's not me. I'm just arm candy. I'm just here to move the big boxes. It's her. That's really annoying. Or I've had people come up to me and ask me, well, why? Why are you doing this? What's the point? I don't know. It's fun. You want a book? Piss off. I mean, I don't get it. I've had people. I was at a con once, and this guy came up to me and started going on about how stupid it was to write, how we're wasting our time, that it's impossible to get published by one of the big five, so you're just wasting your time. And I'm like, all right, piss off. I mean, what do you want from me? So
did you get off? Was it good? Was it good for you?
Oh, he was this really old Russian guy. And he kept talking about, who do you have to suck? Whose dick do you have to suck to get published in this country? I do not know. And he was hilarious. But at the same time, I kept thinking, what are you doing here? Jesus Christ. But yeah, he just kept constantly going off about, okay, I'm going to use you in a story. I'm probably going to kill you. But go away now. Because
maim him. That'll be better than killing him.
You're poisoning my table. So piss off, because you're cock blocking people to come in to buy my stuff. So
isn't it funny that people that have very, very disagreeable personalities seem to have the most problems getting anywhere in life?
Because they're lonely, terrible people, and it's got to be a terrible way to live. I mean, there's places to work from, a place of fear or a place of love, and they work from a place of fear, and it's just terrible. It must be a horrible place to be.
They work from a place of suck.
Well, suck is fear.
Well, they're looking for someone to suck by the sounds of it anyway. It's very
Who do I have to suck? Who do I have to suck? He was hilarious, but yeah. He's like, that woman over there, she is my editor. She will not talk to you. She will not talk to you, but she is my editor, and she sucks. So I was like, why are you talking to me? I just had that face. People.
Okay, let's have a look at the comments and see what people are chatting about this one.
Yes, Team Nikki.
The Nikki verse.
And that's the spirit, madam. Spirits. Yes.
Only 2 or 3.
Yes. More drinks.
Just 2 fingers. Just 2 fingers of scotch.
Just 2 fingers.
I've heard that so many times, Nikki, and they can't do it. Oh, this is about wanting to write something themselves. Yes. They can't do it. Yeah. And people just want to write for them. Yeah, that's why some people are ghostwriters.
Exactly.
That's my life. I just have to discuss my story and get another perspective. It's interesting to see how they would do it instead. It's a way for them to get ones, I think. I don't take it as an affront. Oh, that's very understandable.
Again, it's a way to look at it.
Now, there are some people that are genuine, and like David said, they're invested in what you write. I love those conversations, and I cherish those conversations. And people have told me at the end of Given to Fly, man, it should have had a little more detail, or I really wanted to see the I wanted to see X or Y thing. I almost spoiled it. Wow. And I hate spoilers. I almost wanted to see X or Y thing. That's very different from someone who comes in hot.
Right. Yeah. Maddie says, I guess my brain is going where they have reached out to me to co-write a story because they like my books. Well, that's nice if they're a good writer. It's not if they're not, I suppose.
I'm a douchebag magnet. I don't know.
Douchebag magnet. Oh dear.
I don't want to be.
You don't want it to be like a group project from college where you do all the work.
Right. Oh, I left classes. I would.
Anita comes in with the violence.
Of course she does. It's always the quiet ones.
And I wonder what appendages she's talking about. And I think Joe was hit on it right here.
Yes.
Okay, Nikki, take it away.
Oh, my turn. Okay, so I want to tell you guys a story. Once I was at a party, It was a writer's party. So we're all just hanging around, talking shit like we always do. And this little girl, little 20-year-old, comes bebopping up to me. And she's pretty inebriated by this time. And she goes like, so I just want to ask you a question. Are you sorry that you like waited till you were like, old to start writing? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Because you're like, you know, old. Are you sorry you're old before you started writing? And I was so taken aback. I didn't say anything. I just went, I gotta go. And I left, but I thought about it all night long. And I started thinking about it. And here's my response would be now, if I was as clever, was like, okay, bitch, let me talk to you about something. Little 20-year-old, my little summer child. No, I am not sorry. I am not regretful. Yes, I've always wanted to be a writer. When I was 17 years old, is when I wanted to be. From there, life came, life went, but I could not have written the things that I have written. I did not have the experience. The arts are the one goddamn place where you can actually be appreciated for aging, for having flavor. I have done things. I have lost so much. I have experienced death. I've experienced sickness. I've experienced loss. I've experienced grief. I've experienced happiness. I've experienced such joy that my 20-year-old self could never have known. So, no, I started writing when I was ready to start writing, because that's the way the arts are. It's one of the greatest things about the arts is that no one's ever too old to write a story. We are a storytelling race. That is what we are as a species. We are a storytelling species, and age has nothing to do with it.
Very
Mic
good.
drop. I was so.
Yeah, that was very, very fist pumping. I feel like I'm going to go into war now. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that this isn't about writing, more about being a parent. I was 34 when my son was born, and I remember thinking looking after it. I was looking after him straight away, doing all the stuff. I was thinking this is kind of physically quite hard, right? I think
Yes, it is.
if I was in my mid-20s, I would find it physically easier, but I wouldn't have been
Patient.
emotionally that where I am as a 35-year-old to be a parent. So there's that trade-off where it's like, yeah, maybe physically it would have been much easier in my
But
mid-20s,
here, you're
it
not
wasn't.
ready.
Exactly. So I kind of think that's the same way about writing, because and again, I guess it depends on, you get sort of outriggers like Christopher Paolini that can write a fairly good, okay fantasy, just his favorite fantasy remix, like Aragon when he's 16. Yeah, and it's not emotionally deep or anything like that. It's fine.
It's not To
it's a
Kill a
remix.
Mockingbird. Okay, it's not something
Right.
that's hit something that's human.
Yeah, but it's a remix of
Right.
his favorite fantasy that you read as a child, right? And that's essentially what it is, because that's what you do when you're that age. You just copy what you
Oh
did.
my God. My very first story I ever wrote was basically a lot of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings slammed together, because it's awful. I still have it. I keep it. Every chapter starts with me walking down a hall, or the character walking down a hall, because at that time I'm 17 years old and my life was high school. So what was my life? Walking down halls. So it's all my characters ever did was walk down a hall, have an adventure, and walk down a hall. It was crazy stupid. I keep it because it reminds me of where I came from.
Exactly. I mean, and it's all of it has got substance and all of it has got worth. But stories and characters and who you populate stories with develops as you get older, because, as you say, you have this a worldview. I read somewhere once, I can't remember who it was that said it, but I should really look it up. But it was a writer anyway, like a famous writer, who said who believed that most people write their best work in their 50s.
I like what Ray Bradbury said, that he thinks everyone's trying to either kill or save someone over and over again. And by your 50s, you've got a lot of killing and saving.
Yeah.
There's so many people in your life you wish you could have saved.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can learn to forgive yourself. For me, forgive yourself for not being able to have saved that person. Whatever. I'm 57. I'm on the slippery end to 60. Every once I started thinking about that, oh shit, am I really that old? Yes, I'm afraid you are, sweetie. Every morning you wake up, you remember. Your joints will remind you.
60 is the new 40 is what they say these days. So there
well,
you go.
it helps that neither of my kids are ever going to have kids. So I don't have any kids. So I mean grandkids. So I can always pretend. Because
Right.
I have friends who have grandchildren. I babysat a girl who now is a grandmother. I want to slit my wrists. Holy shit.
Wow. That's pretty.
Yeah.
JD, when did you start writing? How old were you?
I began working on Only Human when I was 25.
Okay.
And it took me 7 years to write the thing, 6 years to write it, 1 year to transcribe it because I write everything by hand, and I didn't transcribe anything, and I started from scratch, and that was a mistake.
Woof.
So I transcribed that, etc. And as a writer, I do think that I've gotten better, and people have told me if I would ever edit Only Human to have more of my style, and I'm like, no, because first off, I enjoy my book and I've read my books like as a reader. And second off, I can tell you when I stopped trying to impress people with how I was writing and the story takes off. I can tell you the chapter where everything clicked and flow.
Flow, you hit the flow.
And I found my writer voice, and I don't think many people have that captured in a book where they can go, that's where it happened. I do, and every time that I read, it's very slow, very slow, very slow. Suddenly I get to a certain chapter, and then I pretty much finish the book in a couple of extra settings, and it's always interesting.
Yeah.
So what? Onto like Nikki's point about youth and later in life writing. Is there something that can you see a difference in your writing? Obviously, you've been writing for a while now. So if you start when you're 25 and all that, can you see what is the difference between your writing now than it was when you first started?
I just think that I am more comfortable being self-serving with what I write, and I'm not trying to impress people. I'm trying to enjoy myself. I'm trying to challenge myself. I'm trying to do stuff that I would want to read and reread, because when you edit the thing, you're going to have to reread it. So it's just that I don't think that in terms of ideas, it's a circus in my brain, and it's just capturing those ideas so that they don't land in another brain that's going to go like, oh, I'm going to write you now. And I'm like, I'm going to take 8 years, but I'm going to write you. And I just enjoy the different things and the different chaos, and that is my mind. And since I write in so many genres, it's just, what's the project that has my attention? Doesn't matter why.
Right.
It has my attention. I have to write this poetry collection. I have to do the all English version of 2020, which is my bilingual collection, because I need to do it. I need to do the all Spanish version. Am I gonna sell 15 copies between both? Yes. Is it important to me? Yes. And as time passes, I just focus more on what's important to me.
Exactly.
And I care less in terms of what I'm supposed to do, and care more about what I'm moved to do. Because when I'm lost in my writing, again, it's weightless. You feel weightless.
That's when the magic happens. That's when the magic happens.
We all have heavy moments in our lives. The last couple of years have been heavy. Anything that can take that weight away,
Exactly.
you feed that fire.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very interesting. And again, sorry that you were approached by a douchebag, Nikki.
No, she's a young little thing. God love her. We're still friends. She had written her very first book, and she's a beautiful, beautiful thing. She really is. But she was just drunk. She was always drunk, and she went,
And she's young.
And she's young.
She's
She's 21. What is fuck? I mean, I could have birthed this child. So no, I mean, But yeah, it did make me start to think a lot about it, because it is something, especially when you get older. As a I could hold the rant about that, about
Mm.
an older female. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to the comments. Let us know what everyone thought.
Wow.
And where we're at before we go on. God, Maddie's fighting talk. Also, can I just say
Fun
as well,
stories.
not only is this probably been the most violent episode of the Green Room so far,
Of course it is.
It's the one with the
I'm
most swearing.
marinating. Yes, I am, baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so much swearing so far.
Wait,
And we've been under control, I
I've
think,
been under
Nikki.
control. I've been really good.
JD is sieging the room himself. I got more energy at 42 than I had at 22.
Oh, me too.
Mm,
I was
because
so
of
depressed
my-
back then.
I knew something else was coming there.
Because I'm marinating the blood of my enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Maddie is all for it. She loves marinating the blood of enemies, I think. Because you have no
Vampire.
enemies. I think
That's
Maddie has no
vampire.
enemies, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I think wasn't Ian McKellen only in his first like Hollywood movie when he was 59 or 60? I think it was X-Men. Like I've got a Monsters, I think, when he was 59.
Also, Alan
Was it-
Rickman. He was in
yeah.
his 40s when he first started.
Yeah.
When he got Hunts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stick with me, Maddie, and I can tell you secrets to putting your body back together after you fall off the wall. It's like you know that movie Death Becomes Her.
Yes, I love that movie.
That's Nikki.
That's a great movie.
We are made to live for 150 years. God, that's a long time.
I don't want to live 150 years. Jesus.
My idea went way well, and is now in my neighbour's brain. That's why he is marinating the blood of his enemies. Yeah, that was a really good impression. Actually, I did like that as well.
Thank you. She's sweet.
Slay.
So Joe's going with 1-1. Okay. Same. Maddie's the same. That's an old person. And weightless writing, beautiful way to put it. It was very poetic, very poetic. And on that note, we will go into round 3. There it is. And Nikki, this is.
I get to start again?
It's your moment to shine.
All right. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And again, it starts back with something that actually happened. I was doing a panel, and it was great. Panel was going fine. It was like 50 people, and they were talking to us about, writing. We're telling them about our writing stuff, blah, blah, blah. Then out of nowhere, this guy comes up and says, excuse me, I just want to ask you one little thing. Why do you think it's good for you to bring such darkness into the world as it already is? I bet if you looked inside your soul, you could find a poem, maybe about kittens or something sweet. And I'm staring at this guy like, motherfucker, what the hell? So I started going to my little rant about how horror is healthy. Horror is healthy, okay? I pulled out the old nutshell by J.K. Chesterton. Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that dragons can be killed. And for horror writers, and I write a lot of horror, I write a lot of death and that kind of stuff. The deal is, I'm showing you the mirror of the world, and I'm showing you how to kill the monsters. There's nothing wrong with reading horror or watching horror movies. All of my friends who are horror writers, quite frankly, are some of the kindest people I've ever known, because I dip my brain into agony all the time. I'm an extremely empathetic person, because I can feel that. I'm almost Janus-sided in that way, because I can feel the agony between the victim and the monster, because as a horror writer, that's what we're trained to do. So anyway, horror is healthy because we help you process emotions that perhaps society has told you cannot have. Horror is healthy because I help you kill monsters in your own brain, in your own life, in a healthy, safe way. No blood is shed. And horror is simply healthy. The end.
There you go. Well, I think this also goes beyond horror as well, because like I write epic fantasy, which is towards the darker side. I'm involved in a few kind of reader groups and people looking for recommendations, and people like what they like, and that's fine. But then you get this like laundry list of things where it's like, okay, well, it needs to have a happy ending, and none of the main characters can die, none of the supporting characters can die either, and it has to be clean. There can be no swearing, there can be no violence. It's like, hang on, it's like
I can't write that. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
right, and it's like to me when people are saying that sounds like a children's story to me, essentially, right? Because but even then, when you look at children's stories, there's death in them. There is violence.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
because it teaches people
Grimm's fairy tales.
Yeah, exactly. Because it teaches people what life is going to be like, essentially. Like that is the way. And I think you can write a story with high stakes that doesn't contain like peril to life and threat to life and the end of the world. It can be personal stakes of a nature, but there needs to be some kind of stakes in a story to get people invested, I think.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, there has to be conflict. Every story has conflict. Even, Sam I Am and the Green Eggs and Ham, even Dr. Seuss has conflict. Every story has conflict. That simply is what we need. As human beings, we thrive on conflict.
Right. And there's plenty of stories with happy endings, there's plenty of stories with light and happiness and everything like that.
I'm very bourgeois. Most of my characters and heroes usually get rewarded kind of at the end. I mean, I like a good happy ending. I want my bad guys to get, batted and justice be served. But sometimes, like I wrote a story, Black Cherry, and the whole point about Black Cherry, it's kind of a modern retelling of the Cask of Amontillado. So my main character basically kills a woman who killed his brother, and he does it in a very nasty way. And the writers group I was in at the time hated it because the hero is actually kind of a bad guy because he murders this woman. But he does it for a reason. Have you not read the Cask of Amontillado? I mean, come on. So I left that group. Obviously you guys are stupid. I'm out. So
Yeah. What do you think on this, JD? I mean, obviously, I think there's room for happiness and everything like that, and happy stories. But there's also room for darkness as well. There's room for trauma.
Boom! Yes, that's right. He's got cherry happy and yeah.
When I write middle grade, I purposely do my best to write stories that don't have violence, because I remember watching cartoons and watching movies as a kid that were just fun. And part of what broke in me is a couple of years back, I saw the movie Ponyo from Studio Ghibli. It's a movie that has no violence. Yes, it has tension. Yes, it has conflict, but it has no violence. And I was like, I want to write that because it kind of spoke to me. And apart from that, I was like one of the few adults that was, it's like I was at Chuck E. Cheese playing video games. So it was I was with my wife at least. And all the kids who were super well behaved, by the way, and they made the experience that much better. So, and it's not that I can't write something sad for kids. It's that I don't want to right now. For me, I want to do that, and I want something that's refreshing and light and whimsical because there are some children that are 42 years old and also want to read something that's light and doesn't have all that tragic stuff. And then there's other parts of what I say is that we all have soul wells, and we have to dip into different soul wells to find that inspiration. Sometimes that inspiration is pain. Sometimes that inspiration is anger. There are certain topics that I can get really riled up with. That there's just no place. There's no place for certain things in this world that I just don't understand how people can even rationalize and justify certain things. I'm not going to go on a soapbox, but there are things that anger me, and I use that to try to create and write stuff that makes people think, and it shows people that even stuff that is even awful has different sides. If you take anything and you just tilt it on its side, you're going to see a different perspective, good, bad, or neutral. There's a place for all of that. There's a place for monsters. There's a place for horror. There's a place for awful endings, because people that we love are in a car crash. They get cancer. They get AIDS. They have an overdose. They commit suicide. they have a heart attack, they choke on a chicken bone, they slip. I know I know someone who was on the back of a pickup truck, super sweet guy, kind to everyone, wonderful father. He was on the back of a pickup truck. They hit a pothole. He fell and he died.
Yeah.
Instantly. And it's like these things happen.
Death
and,
happens. Yeah.
And sure, it's good to have a poem about kittens, but sometimes you need to write something that is awful and dark and sad so that people can relate. One of the biggest compliments that I've ever gotten, there's a poetry collection I have called Dark Strands. There's a poem called The Box. It's a short poem. Most of my poems are 1 page long, or less than 1 page. And that one is about my experience when Dad passed away, and talking about my reaction to seeing the casket.
Mhm.
And someone bought it 1 year, and the next year they came by and they're like, "Hey, I bought this book from you last year." And I'm like, thank you so much. And thanks for coming back. It's like, yeah, The Box. And I'm like, yeah, that was about Dad. And she said, that's the first time that I've been able to understand what I'm feeling.
Oh, that's wonderful. You've done a great thing.
But she did that in the middle of the convention. And I'm like trying not to choke up. I'm like,
yeah.
And then
But I would like to point out that on the panel was me and one other guy, and I'm the one he addresses to write poems about kittens, not the guy. Because you're female, you obviously can't write horror, which another thing I ran about. As a woman, trust me, I know more about blood than you'll ever know.
Right.
And I have lived as a prey my entire life.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the dark side of life and trauma and everything like it can be cathartic to read about it, and sometimes it's what people need, and some people cut themselves off from that release sometimes. But then again, one of the most kind of traumatic and violent things I ever saw as a child was the Transformers movie, because that came out just around the time when I was really into Transformers, and my entire toy collection was wiped out in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, but the animated one.
Right, yeah, the animated.
You have to make the distinction. The animated one.
Yeah. I don't even talk about the Michael Bay ones.
I'm with you on that, but that animated, it's like, what just happened?
Brutal. Right.
It is brutal, but it is brilliant in that sense. It's like, oh my God, what are they going to do the rest of the movie? And the movie's great.
Yeah. Rodimus Prime. All hail Rodimus Prime. Let's have a look at these comments before we go into JD to finish this off.
About serial killer kittens.
Yeah. Kittens do have claws, and they leave big scratches too.
Mm-hmm. There's a pussy joke in there somewhere.
Okay. Oh, well, this is hyping
Oh,
up.
God. Okay, fine.
Horror is healing. Yeah, I knew you'd say that, Nikki. Horror keeps you out of the murder van. Yeah. They are cathartic. Nikki agrees with me. There you go. Thank you, Nikki. There we go. They're agreeing. This is why I like a lot of women like watching true crime stuff. And
we're taking notes to keep safe.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Twilight and 50 Shades had conflict. They do. Are they good stories? They are stories. Sometimes
just means, it's a good tagline.
Yeah. Because I know those happy stories of the darkest dark passenger in real life. Yeah, probably. David has written one of the scariest scenes I have ever read in his epic dark fantasy series. Did I? That's interesting. It's in Beyond Sundered Seas. I don't know which one that is.
That is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a nice one. And I didn't know you had Optimus Prime related trauma, David. Much is explained. See, I was more. I think I often think about it. I was more concerned with the fact that Ultra Magnus was going to take over from Optimus Prime, and Ultra Magnus was completely boring. And it's like, why is this boring one to take over? And then Hot Rod came in. But then the thing with Hot Rod, this is a whole different tangent, and we'll get to you now, JD. But I have to close the loop. Hot Rod was this cool car. He gets upgraded to Rodimus Prime and turns into an RV of some kind. It's really weird. It's like, why have you downgraded his car? Strange. Don't know why, but that's it. Okay, JD.
Okay, so my last topic is writing persons of color from a place of ignorance or cliches. There's a book that I was reading that I had to stop reading because even though the author's a lovely guy, not gonna mention the author, not gonna mention the book. Will mention that I had to stop reading because every time that I would read the Hispanic character, it's like, oh papi and chulo, and he comes from the hood, and his brother was killed because he was in a gang, and I've seen that so many times, and it's unfortunately it's like, tell me you're white and have never lived through this without saying that you're white and have never lived through this. I do think that it's super important to push for diversity, but organic diversity and natural things. I've been told point blank, you don't sound Puerto Rican, you don't look Puerto Rican, you can't be Puerto Rican, and motherfucker, I'm Puerto Rican. O sea, váyase para el carajo. Se puede ir para el mismo centro del carajo, meterse el dedo por el culo, because I am Puerto Rican. I am Puerto Rican and I love home. The reasons that I left are what they are, and I write mainly in English because that's what I've read and watched most of my life. But it's like, let's write the Hispanic character and he's from the ghetto and he's in a gang. Let's write a black character and he eats fried chicken and watermelons.
Right.
Let's write an Asian person, and obviously he's going to be eating rice and knows kung fu. And if
Oh,
I've
really good at computers.
Really good at math.
oh yeah, no, that's if they're Indian. If they're
Oh, really? I thought that was
if they're
Asian.
Yeah.
Like tiger moms. Yeah.
no, but for IT stuff, oh, I've seen the trope with Indian people being great at IT. It's like, okay, dude, whatever. And yes, cliches do exist for a reason, but writing irresponsibly like that is just very telling, and it's lazy as fuck.
Lazy.
It's so lazy. Being Hispanic, I take particular offense to that just because some people ask, so where in Mexico is Puerto Rico? And the amount of diversity that exists between Hispanic, Latino countries, and that there is a difference between what's Hispanic, what's Latino, what bothers some people. Some people say Latino, other people say Latinx. Latinx is kind of a misnomer, and it's a English-based label, and it rubs some people the wrong way. It's like, okay, and I get the different arguments, but someone's always kicking off for some reason. But what that all means is that there is a ton of diversity that doesn't get, translated onto the page, onto the screen often enough. You can, and the thing is that if I feel bad about that, me being a Puerto Rican guy, I can't believe what my Asian brothers and sisters have to go through trying to explain to people why things from Malaysia are not the same as Korea, are not the same as so on and so forth. These are huge countries with rich history. And again, people write from a place of ignorance, and you have access to all the information. You don't have to go to the typical places to get your information, and it's bothersome and it's annoying, and I want to finish the book, but every time, ay papi chulo, and I'm like, what the fuck, what the actual I'm reading this and I really wish that I was making it up, but it's like, oh papi, and I'm like, I can see the hoop earrings, I can see the all the cliches, and the cliches are, again, so lazy, so stupid, and it just takes away. It makes me question if I should even respect you, because It's like, dude, you didn't even try. It's like, oh, but you write white people and black people, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't do those cliches and those tropes. It's like my black characters and my Asian characters. The Asian characters, the ones that I go a bit more in depth, are from Japan, and I try to include a certain amount of things, but I focus more on the personality of the person and not. It's always trying to infuse their nationality and their everything in how they say and what they say, and it's like, cool. That's why I don't. People say, oh, why haven't you written an own voices book? And I'm like, because I haven't written an own voices book. Eventually I might do one, just because I might have that itch, but I'm more focused, and as my trajectory progresses, I push for more diversity in things where people can see a black character and smile, and see an Asian character and smile, and see an Indian character and smile, and see all sorts of people from all sorts of lives in life, and go like, ah, that's a cool character, and not have to relegate to be supporting cast or just checking a diversity box, which also pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really great point. I mean, and it's one of those things as well. I think, like, you know, Hollywood doesn't help in this regard because
But in certain things, it's gotten a bit better. There is a bit more. There's room for improvement,
yeah.
but it's still better.
I always think of and it's kind of not old, but I mean it's still 4 years old now at this point. But Rise of Skywalker, where you've had Oscar Isaac's character Poe Dameron in the previous two films that has an established backstory where his parents were heroes of the rebellion and all this kind of stuff, and he was part of the rebellion. He was part of the New Republic very early on as a pilot, and then the third movie they decide that the only Hispanic character ever to exist in Star Wars is a former drug runner, and it's like, oh, that's fantastic. Like, brilliant. Yeah.
And it happens, and for Hispanic actors, and for Hispanic actors specifically, with actresses there's a bit more flexibility, but Hispanic male actors, they get typecast into drug dealers like it's no one's business. And it's like, what? And if it's a black guy, he better like hip hop, and he better be urban and have that flavor, because he's black. And it's like, I know some black people who are so beautifully geeky and awkward and socially awkward and so fun to be around, and they love video games and they love all the things that they're not supposed to because they're black. And I'm like, I see that disconnect, and I go like, what's your malfunction of you thinking that someone can't enjoy that?
National Comic Con, real quick. National Comic Con, I was so happy because it was so okay. You used to go to Comic Cons and science fiction, it's kind of conventions. It's usually a bunch of white dudes, and as a chick, you can get all the. But there was so much diversity. It was everybody, and there was actually a couple of booths for they were called themselves black nerds, and that was their whole thing, and it was so awesome. I was like, this is so cool. And they were playing all the different characters. They didn't give a damn. There were all the different, it was just, I was very, very happy. I was extremely happy that everybody was having such a great time and no one giving a shit.
Yeah, I always enjoy when people kind of skewer this kind of thing with, like, playing with the expectations to a certain level where and just kind of turn it on what you expect. I always remember, I don't know if you two ever watched the US Office, but there was the bit where you have Stanley, who is black, who is an older black guy, and then they have someone transfer over from one of the other officers who is also black, and he looks at him at one point and goes like this on the chest, and then Stanley just goes,
oh God.
It's like, just not interested, whatever. But no, it's an important, and it's the ignorance thing is the important, because we all try and, like, I mean, I have my own kind of thing to kind of on this, which is not obviously I'm not a person of color or anything, but I am autistic, and there is a lot of people that decide I'm going to put a neurodivergent character into this book, and they write them as if they're an actual alien.
Yes, they're always Sheldon Coopers.
Sheldon Cooper or the Rain Man. Or,
yes, they're always, because I know I have a lot of autistic friends. I'm like an autistic magnet, and it's people. They just And
it's like, and it's like I can see the thing where it's like, look, I'm trying to include more people and be more diverse with the characters, and show this kind of thing. But it's like, it goes back to that thing where it's like, well, it's either Sheldon Cooper or Rain Man because that's what I've seen, and it's kind of like, well, do your research.
Gay is like fabulous. Extremely fabulous, or extremely promiscuous. I have been in a lot of homosexuals who are not promiscuous. They're just gay. I mean, they're gay. It's like anyone else, but they're not out there fucking everything that has a hole. They don't care.
Yeah,
they want to have a relationship with someone.
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, I remember the movie Birdcage with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, and that was that was like it's a good movie. Like, and he had like Nathan Lane, very flamboyant, and he wasn't out at the time either. It was after
No,
that
he
movie.
wasn't.
Yeah. And then Robin Williams was like, very kind of like just
Straight.
Yeah. And it's always good, like, that was a good like kind of show. Look, everyone is different, essentially, right? It's just one of those things where it's like it is lazy to an extent, where people are like, well, this is just what it is. It's a shorthand, but also it's people's genuine view sometimes, where it's like because they're so sheltered in what their worldview is that it's like, well, everyone must be like this because I see it on TV.
Right, especially in America. You got to remember, people in America don't leave America. Very few people actually go anywhere. I mean, I lived in the Middle East. I lived in Eastern Europe, and I remember living in the Middle East and they're just people. I mean, it's just people. But people in America don't leave. They don't leave America. So they have these weird ideas. Everyone in Britain has tea and crumpets. They don't understand. They're just human, or what they see on BBC, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
we do like tea, but
I like tea.
Crumpets, they're not that popular.
I don't. But that's just. But you know what I mean. It's a problem with America, is that we don't learn geography. All of our maps have America right in the middle. Everybody else is kind of around.
It is quite big. It's quite a big country.
It is huge. It is huge. But the world is a much bigger place.
The world is quite big as well, in comparison. Well, this was a great topic, and let's see what people say in the comments before I have to decide who has won, which is very, very tough, and I'm not looking forward to it. So the topic is scared. Yes. Nikki's claiming she's eating strawberries.
They were too captivated to comment, JD.
Let's see. Nikki's saying that she's living up to a stereotype.
White girl.
Cheese fingers. Is Wisconsin famous for cheese?
Yeah, for cheese. They were like cheese heads. Isn't like Packers or something? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh, she has a dairy allergy, so there you go. She must be kicked out of Wisconsin immediately.
You must be. I'm sorry. Turn in your Wisconsin card right now.
She's breaking down barriers and illusions. I've said before, I grew up in a mixed race neighborhood, and there are definitely stereotypes of people of all stripes. I mean, there is there is sometimes stereotypes, but sometimes they're taken to extremes, though, aren't they, as well? Like, I remember going to this poster will not be in existence anymore, but I used to the dentist that I used to go to as a kid used to have like a map of the world on the ceiling. I used to love looking at it, but in every single country there was like the main stereotype of like in France it was like a person with a stripy t-shirt with onions around the neck with a beret and all this kind of stuff. And I've been to France a few times. I have never seen anyone dressed like that.
Well, okay, I live in Tennessee, and right now it's Fanfare Week, and everyone is down in Nashville wearing cowboy hats and cowboy boots and little bitty short shorts, and I'm just like, nobody dresses like that. But you do you, sweetie. Bring us your money. So.
There we go. Okay, right. We got some more comments. Emily David's decision. See, this is the thing when I came up with this idea for the show is I didn't realize I would have to decide who wins every week. So, yes, erase maybe me. You can erase me if you like. I don't mind. But no, because Joe is not hosting this show. We get someone else to do it. It's fine. Nikki can do it. If she's going to erase us, one of the Nikkis can do it. Maybe both Nikkis can do it.
The Nikki Show.
The Nikki Show.
Welcome to the Nikki Show.
Okay, I am going to decide. And as we do, I believe there's a little advert.
Okay.
Have you heard the one about the small town girl who got knocked up by the ex-wife of an ex-con that she had never met? No? You should. It's a pretty good one. After all, isn't that what love is?
Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it hurts.
Because Sarah Shatan impulsively decided to be a surrogate to pay for college. But a mistake at the clinic finds her pregnant with Matthew Goodrow's child, despite the fact they've never met. Matt never wanted to be a parent, and while he felt responsible, he doesn't really want anything to do with Cass, since she decided to keep the baby. Matt's brother and adopted uncle, however, are happy to welcome Cass into their home. Funny, in the face of serious topics and slow burn, despite forced proximity, this dysfunctional yet heartwarming found family is the perfect backdrop for the grumpy sunshine rom-com. This is just one of the 2 stories of the Goodrow brothers. In the Goodrow brothers duet, Love Is and Love Stories Are, they follow Matthew and Vincent Goodrow and how their lives are upended by trauma and maybe love. You know the term, write what you know. Generally, it implies you're writing about your life, not plagiarizing someone else's tale. Because if you do, better hope they don't find out. Vincent Goodrow felt destined to be a supporting character and remain in the shadows. But on a whim, he wrote down his brother's love story and submitted it to Anna Kane's publishing company. Anna wasn't one to hesitate. She went after what she wanted. But Vinny seemed to be hesitant to be in the spotlight, even in his own life. Pulling in the laughs while balancing difficult topics and consent themes, this twist on the billionaire trope highlights how communication and love are part of the building a life and not a magic wand. Author Catherine M. Sweet brings her unique voice to this slow burn romance duet, twisting popular tropes in books best described as R-rated homework. So what are you waiting for? Love is waiting, and love stories are always available. When you take a look at the Goodrow Brothers duet, available now on Kindle Unlimited.
All right, so here we go. With, this is what you could have won, I guess. That's what you're going to get next time. Who's winner? And the winner is, okay, I will have to go with on this one. It's really, really tough. So the first round, cold call emails and the drinking.
Or exercise.
Yeah, and exercise.
Turning off the bastard in your head. Okay.
That's exactly right. So this was a close one. Yeah, get inundated with cold call emails and just social media messages from people all the time. But not getting into the flow. I heard it's not great for people, but this is the thing, right? With me, with my superpower is I can just go and I'm straight into it. So I don't understand it that much. And I do like drinking when I'm writing, but I'm very lucky where I can just go straight into focus mode. So on that one, I will have to go with JD because the cold call emails are very annoying. Very, very annoying. Second round, people basically people punching down on people who started writing later in life, and asking why, against people trying to tell what to do with the books. Again, another really, really close one. I would go with the later in life one though, because I think it's kind of gatekeeping a little bit. It's like, especially because it's something that I think with what you would have done with the books generally only comes from like kind of readers, because most writers will kind of keep that to themselves because they understand it. But I feel like most people that are saying like, well, why did you not start writing until you were 50 are usually other writers, and it's kind of gatekeepery. And it's like, I've been doing this all my life. I've been doing fan fiction since I was 6 years old. What were you doing? And yeah, that's not cool. So we go into the last one, which is
the tiebreaker.
It's really difficult because I feel very, very passionately about people dictating that stories must be only this, and that they want like this laundry list of things of like, give me a recommendation, but it must all be these things that I want, and they won't go out of the comfort zone. I don't get it as a reader. It's like, books are meant to be challenging. Books are meant to be fun and comfortable sometimes, but they're also meant to be challenging. That's what art is. It's supposed to push and challenge you. But then, writing people of color from place of ignorance, lack of research, it can be very harmful, very upsetting. It doesn't really further what people try and do with diversity as well. If you're going to do diversity and you are not a diverse person, and by that I mean a straight white man, then it's not doing it in the right way is very, very harmful, because you generally, straight white men have the bigger platform where they're able to do things from. It's a tough one. I think, though, I will have to go with, because again, this kind of the thing with neurodiversity I do see the same thing with that. I will have to go with JD's point on that one. So the overall winner for today is JD Estrada. Congratulations. 2-1. JD, you will be back with me next week to talk for an hour about anything, all your topics and anything else. Nikki, you will destroy the internet by talking to Nikki DeKeuster, the TV.
Yes!
which is what everyone wanted, to be fair. But this is a great show. Again, amazing points. Thank you, everyone in the comments for tuning in and for talking to us, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, JD. Thank you, Nikki.
You're welcome. It's fine.
Joe.
I was giving you a virtual hug, Nikki.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Hug.
And remember, it is always time to go.
Go indie now. Bye. Are we off?
No.
No,
No, we're not off.
It's always time to go indie now.